Learning to be more observant is probably beneficial for you across different domains and aspects of your life, including sales. Hi everyone, my name is Kian. I run a business focusing on corporate training, business consulting, and employee engagement. We have worked with more than 10 multinational companies and more than 2,500 employees across 15 different countries, including China, Hong Kong, Australia, Canada, Germany, Malaysia, Singapore, and so forth. And today I want to share with you how being observant has allowed me to be better at sales. And when I say better, I mean generate more results, earn more money for the company and myself. So one day I was just meeting with this client and I realized that this client actually prefers speaking in Mandarin Chinese instead of in English. But that there's this common misconception in Malaysia sometimes where if you take the initiative not to speak English with someone, they may feel that you're viewing them as inferior. So if a person prefers speaking Malay or Mandarin Chinese, for example, some people may feel uncomfortable if you go out of your way to speak in their preferred language, because English happens to be what people recognize as the international language that you should speak in, especially when you're in a business context. Of course, everyone's different companies operate differently. The clients that I've worked with and the prospects that I've worked with happen to think in that way. Now, I noticed that this client preferred to speak in Mandarin Chinese. So I wanted to be, firstly, to notice that would require me to be observant. So I would not only be focusing on my own pitch, where I'm sharing about my company, offerings, and so forth. I'm also cognizant of the way that she's interacting with her own internal team members, her colleagues, how she speaks on the phone with other people, and so forth. And then when we're speaking, when I feel that she is perhaps interacting with her colleague in Mandarin Chinese, I'm very careful to gauge when it would be a good time for me to also enter into conversation and speak in Mandarin Chinese, so that the entire process seems subtle. It seems that I'm jibing well with everybody in the interaction, and it doesn't seem like I'm trying to fit in a way that's undesirable or being too desperate. So as a result, the client spoke to me in Mandarin Chinese as well, and from then onward, we were speaking in Mandarin Chinese all the way in interaction. And that allowed me to induce liking. And the principle of liking happens to be one of the principles of persuasion proposed by Dr. Robert Cialdini. It suggests that it's easier for someone to comply with your request as a salesperson or as anyone wanting other people to comply with a request if the person you are speaking to or working with likes you and it makes sense. We are human beings, we are emotional creatures. Whilst it is beneficial to work with a variety of people, including those whom we do not like, we prefer working with people that we like. And many times we only work with people that we like. Not saying that's good, it's just recognizing, being observant again, that that's how human beings operate. And therefore, as much as possible, you want to induce that. But I guess a tip about inducing that, just to go on a tangent real quick, is that when you do that, you don't want to seem too obvious about it. It doesn't mean that you're being fake, it just means that you're socially sophisticated. Likewise, when you are trying to establish yourself as someone who is high social status, and when I say social status, I don't just mean arrogance or dominance, I mean also prestige in a way that people like you, for example, in a way that people respect you. You also don't want to be overtly concerned about social status. As it turns out, if you bring up the fact that you want to be perceived as high social status, people don't like it. But if you act in a way that's sufficiently sophisticated to convey and demonstrate that you're someone of a high social status that deserves respect and admiration, then people are more likely to then give you that respect, admiration, and liking. So I jibed well by interacting with the person in Mandarin Chinese. The person that interacted with me in that language that she prefers, she began to be more warm, presumably because she was starting to like me more as a person to speak with. As a result, we were able to strike a deal. And of course, I'm not saying that by speaking in Mandarin Chinese or by inducing liking, I was immediately able to close the deal. It's just that these things that we can do to appeal to these persuasion principles like liking, authority, and so forth increases the likelihood that we are able to then convert a deal, be on good terms with the client, and establish a potential collaboration opportunity that would be long-term. So the next time you go to pitch to a new prospect or meet a client or maybe even meet a friend or a potential romantic partner, if you're on a romantic date, make sure that you remain observant and appeal to the principle of liking proposed by Dr. Robert Cialdini. I hope you learned something new today. If you have, please like the video, leave a comment to share your thoughts and ideas. I would love to hear them. I'll respond to them as well. And subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.